Melissa Gums, Minister of Education, is that a possibility to allow them to grow? KPSM assists primary school students in preparation for upcoming traffic examination, the commemoration of the 178th anniversary of the abolition of slavery. Interview with Francois Hunt, celebrating Mother's Day in Marigot. From the island, Sint Maarten, this is SXM Daily News for June 2nd, 2026. Melissa Gums, Minister of Education, is that a possibility to allow them to grow? In 2025, the Ministry of Education initiated a research report titled Enhancing the Career Trajectory of Education Professionals, alongside the development of a professional development appraisal instrument for teachers, power professionals, and educational support staff. This project aims to address concerns about teachers' professional development and to explore additional pathways for career advancement.
Teacher salaries can grow in scales, created a formula to allow them to grow. Is that a possibility to allow them to grow? In 2025, the Ministry, through the Department of Education, initiated a research report titled Enhancing the Career Trajectory of Education Professionals, alongside the development of a professional development appraisal instrument for teachers, paraprofessionals, and educational support staff. This project is aimed at addressing the concerns regarding teachers' professional development and exploring additional pathways for career advancement. While the project remains ongoing, TWO funding has been requested to review and amend the current Functieboek onderwijs. It is therefore MECIS's aim to secure the necessary resources to finalize and fully implement this initiative once the required funding is secured. And on to the next question from MP Irian. How do we take the data and make a plan to fill the gaps in? The MP is expecting the budget to reflect a plan to address the concerns we have today. The Ministry has allocated funding toward key policy initiatives, including the language policy development, allocation of 75,000 guilders, Dutch language strategy, 25,000 guilders, and strengthening the teaching profession, 100,000 guilders. However, budget constraints in 2026 are expected to impact the pace and scope of implementation. As such, the Ministry has requested funding via TWO for the revision of the FBE curriculum, and as mentioned earlier, to amend the current Functieboek onderwijs. The Ministry will continue prioritizing high-impact interventions within available resources, while continuing to identify where additional support is needed to move from planning to implementation. Missing socioeconomic data would have liked to see how many students came from a single-parent home or how many parents have more than one job. The absence of certain socioeconomic indicators, Mr. Chairman, such as single-parent household status or parental employment, has been noted, and the Ministry acknowledges the value such data could add to understanding external factors that influence student performance. It is worth clarifying, however, that these specific questions were intentionally excluded from the assessment instruments. As the assessments are administered directly to Group 3 students, approximately 6 years of age, questions of this nature were deemed developmentally inappropriate and unsuitable for that age group. Moving on to questions from MP Duran. Question 1. Have the effects of COVID been taken into consideration and the impact on these results? Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, the Group 3 EGRA-EGMA report does explicitly reference the impact of COVID-19 on the cohort being assessed. The report notes that the 2023 Group 3 cohort began school during the COVID-19 lockdown in 2020 and acknowledges that this likely affected their early education and developmental progress. This context is offered as a partial explanation for the performance differences observed between the 2023 and 2025 Group 3 cohorts. In the Group 5 National Assessment Report, COVID is not explicitly named, but the broader context is relevant. Group 5 students in 2025 would have been in Group 2 or 3 during the pandemic period, meaning their foundational learning years were disrupted. The report does highlight persistent system-wide challenges, particularly in multiplication and division, fractions, and oral reading fluency, that are consistent with the learning loss patterns documented internationally following COVID-related school disruptions. It is also important to note that both reports show meaningful improvement when comparing 2023 and 2025 results for the same cohort. For example, reading comprehension mastery rose from approximately 4% with the 2023 Group 3 to 44% with the 2025 Group 5. And oral reading fluency mastery grew from approximately 5% to 20% over the same period. These gains suggest the system is recovering, but also underscore that some gaps require continued, targeted attention. Question 2, the MP stated he's missing the next steps and recommendations. As stated previously, the ministry is pursuing a phased and coordinated reform approach, including integrated review of EGRA-EGMA and national assessment results, as well as FBE evaluation data. Stakeholder engagement to define targeted interventions, FBE curriculum review and revision pending TWO funding approval, strengthening alignment between curriculum, assessment, and instructional practices, and implementation of follow-up assessments in 2027 for Groups 3, 5, and 7 with support through the Trust Fund. This approach is designed to ensure sustainable, system-wide improvement rather than fragmented interventions. Moving on to questions from MP Otley. The MP mentioned a diversification in education needs to be taken up and mentioned that he did not hear about carpentry and other vocational topics. Mr. Chairman, through you, the ministry agrees that diversification in education is important, including stronger technical and vocational pathways. At the same time, the EGRA-EGMA results specifically measure foundational literacy and numeracy at the primary school level, and those skills matter for every future pathway chosen at secondary level. Carpentry, construction, mechanics, hospitality, entrepreneurship, and other technical fields all require strong basic skills. Students must be able to read instructions, understand measurements, calculate quantities, interpret plans, communicate clearly, and solve problems. In that sense, literacy and numeracy are not separate from vocational success. They help make it possible. At the FBE level, the focus is therefore on building the foundation that students need, regardless of the path they choose later. The immediate concern raised by the EGRA-EGMA results is whether students are developing the basic skills that they will need for any path they pursue.
The police force of St. Martin, KPSM, is pleased to announce that officers from the traffic department recently visited several primary schools to assist students in their preparation for the upcoming annual traffic examination. As part of KPSM's ongoing commitment to road safety education and youth development, traffic department officers conducted informative sessions with Group 7 students at Oranje School and Asher Stevens Hillside Christian School. During these visits, officers provided guidance on traffic rules, road safety awareness, and essential knowledge required for the traffic examination. The initiative forms an important part of KPSM's efforts to educate young road users and promote safe behavior among future cyclists, pedestrians, and motorists. The officers engaged with the students, answered questions, and helped reinforce the lessons necessary for success in the upcoming examination. In an interview with Francois Hunt, who is the managing director and a prominent radio personality at Radio Saint Martin, 101.5 FM, we are celebrating Mother's Day. If they are fortunate, they have 3 models. Hey Cortana, which is the most common time? Dominican mother files the same day with French models, so we decided we're going to set up with them because normally, whenever we go, and coincidentally today, is also the Dominican Mother's Day. We have been organizing it for some years now, and in the beginning, we used to set up in a studio, but they have grown so big that now we have to come in a packing lot to attend the event.
Mother's Day, they are fortunate that they have 3 Mother's Day. They have the normal Mother's Day, you have the French Mother's Day, and you also have the Dominican Mother's Day, which is all 3 different times. Most of the time, the Dominican Mother's Day falls the same date with the French Mother's Day. So we decided that we're going to celebrate them because normally whenever we're doing an event, we just do it on French Mother's Day. And coincidentally, today is also the Dominican Mother's Day. We have been organizing this for some years now, and in the beginning we used to do it up in the studio, but it have grown so big that now we have to come in a parking lot. And all the events that we're doing now, it's parking lot magnitude because of the amount of people that has been coming. You came here and you see the kind of turnout that we have today. Last event that we had was the Good Friday, which is the Easter holidays, and that was a big turnout. And today is nothing less than that. I want to thank everyone who came here, all the donors and the sponsors to make this thing our reality. We want to thank them from the bottom of our heart. Today we have a lot of different goodies. We have a lot of prizes that we're going out. We have basket for the mothers and a lot of food. I want to thank everyone who's here, and all I'm saying, enjoy it because everything is for free.
Bernadette Davis, second vice president of the Collectivité of Saint-Martin, Quartier d'Orléans, during the commemoration of the 178th anniversary of the abolition of slavery, we experienced a beautiful moment filled with emotion, remembrance, and cultural transmission. Through music, dance, storytelling, and artistic performances, our history was honored, and the richness of our cultural heritage was proudly celebrated. More than a commemoration, this day reminded us of the importance of preserving our collective memory, understanding our history, and passing it on to future generations. I would like to extend my sincere congratulations to the President of the Cultural Commission, Valérie Damazeau, and her entire team for the quality of this organization and for bringing such a meaningful moment of unity and reflection to our community. Thank you to the artists, associations, young people, and everyone who contributed to keeping our history alive with such passion and authenticity. I learned, felt, and experienced the true power of cultural transmission. Let us continue building our future by honoring our past and sharing our heritage with our youth.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurance.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
Bookings for the St. Martin Annual Regional Trade Show, SMART 2026, have surpassed those of the 2025 edition. Regardless of added convention space for the June 26, 2026 edition of the event, only a few booths are still available. To enable booth presence, the organizing committee of the St. Martin Hospitality and Trade Association, SHTA, with the St. Martin Tourism Bureau, STB, l'Office du Tourisme, ODT, and Club du Tourisme, CDT, urge interested tourism companies, as well as businesses interested in doing business with regional tourism companies, to reserve an exhibition booth in a timely manner. Walk-around and buyer tickets will remain available for a longer time. SMART 2026 marks the 18th edition of the binational, publicly and privately organized event, intended to highlight tourism and other industries on the island and expand the island economy in the process. supplier and vendor booths have thus far been occupied by delegations from Anguilla, the British Virgin Islands, Curaçao, Montserrat, Saba, St. Eustatius, Startia, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, and the United States. When the MP looks at the law, then he's not too sure if the minister has access to conversations that were had, as the MP knows that he was then Chief of Staff, and the central bank sat in different meetings on this. The idea then was, because of the urgency of the harmonization, to get inserting laws as quick as possible, and amendments would follow the next year.
When the MP look at the law, then, and he's not too sure if the minister has access to conversations that were had, the MP knows that his then Chief of Staff and the central bank sat in different meetings pertaining to this. The idea then was, because of the urgency of the harmonization, to get in certain laws as quick as possible, and amendments would follow the next year, he believes. Madam Chair, through you, throughout the process, the minister's staff was consistently kept informed by the working group, which included representatives from the central bank as well as the legislative departments of both countries. This ensured that all relevant developments and considerations were communicated in a timely and structured manner. In addition, the minister personally received all pertinent information at the formal stages when the draft legislation was submitted to the Council of Advice and subsequently to Parliament. These moments provided a complete and consolidated overview of the proposals under consideration. Finally, the close involvement of the legislative departments of both countries throughout the drafting process provided an important safeguard for the legislative quality. Their joint review and input ensured the legal quality and consistency of the proposals, thereby minimizing the likelihood that further amendments would be required. Next question. This one was stated already in 2023, and all laws are exactly the same, so there are no amendments made. Through you, Madam Chair, I can confirm that that is correct. Next question. In looking at the situation in the U.S., and we are 3 years from when these laws were submitted, on a personal note, the MP Arian does not agree with certain aspects anymore in terms of us to follow international regulations and particular steps of what the central bank took above of what is required. Through you, Madam Chair, at the time these laws were drafted and reviewed, the intention was to ensure full compliance with applicable international standards and to safeguard financial stability. In some instances, this may indeed have resulted in a more conservative or comprehensive implementation than the minimum required. In particular, that is the case in the draft national ordinance on the supervision of payment service providers. That said, regulatory frameworks are not static. It is both appropriate and necessary to periodically reassess where the current approach remains proportionate, effective, and aligned with evolving international standards. So, I remain open to evaluating whether adjustments are justified while continuing to uphold our core commitments under international law and financial supervision standards. In other words, Madam Chair, the legislation was intentionally drafted to meet international standards and protect financial stability while still allowing room for future evaluation and adjustment where appropriate. Next question. The MP Arian said if he looks at the legislation from Aruba, Madam Chair, for example, Aruba did what the FATF needed. When he looks at the last 3 years, especially talking like cryptocurrency and virtual asset, etc., and how fast it has evolved in 2022 and 2023 by the previous government, a lot has been changed by then, a lot, and I do not see our current day reality in the law, and I also do not see future proofing in the law anymore. Madam Chair, through you, the primary objective of the present legislative framework is to ensure full compliance with the revised Recommendation 15 of the FATF, particularly in relation to virtual assets and virtual asset service providers. This recommendation requires jurisdictions to establish a comprehensive regulatory and supervisory regime that adequately addresses the risks associated with emerging technologies, including cryptocurrencies. While it is acknowledged that the rapid evolution of the virtual asset sector, especially throughout 2022 and 2023, but also last year, has introduced new challenges and developments, the core purpose of this legislation remains anchored in meeting international standards as set by the FATF. In this respect, the law is designed to provide a robust foundation for anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing compliance, rather than to exhaustively codify every technological advancement as it arises. Furthermore, I would like to point out that FATF standards are inherently risk-based and technologically neutral, allowing jurisdictions a degree of flexibility in implementation. Consequently, the draft legislation incorporates mechanisms that enable the bank to respond to ongoing developments within the virtual asset ecosystem without requiring constant statutory amendment. I would like to emphasize that the intent of the law is not to capture a static snapshot of the sector at a given moment in time, but rather to ensure alignment with evolving international obligations while maintaining sufficient adaptability to address future risks as they emerge, by granting the central bank the authority to regulate the sector by means of ordinances and supervision. In other words, Madam Chair, the legislation is intended to ensure that St. Martin remains compliant with international FATF standards relating to virtual assets and cryptocurrencies, while also giving the central bank sufficient flexibility and authority to regulate and supervise this rapidly evolving sector as new development risks emerge.
The National Recovery Program Bureau, NRPB, would like to inform the public that the contractor under the Emergency Recovery Project I, ERP1, will begin taking site possession at school gyms, public sports facilities, and district courts across St. Martin from June 2026. This is in preparation for upcoming repair works, which will improve spaces used by students, athletes, and the wider community. Site possession and mobilization activities by Windward Roads are scheduled to begin in June for the following locations: Simpson Bay, Cole Bay, and K Bay District Courts, followed by Sundial School and the Milton Peters College, MPC, Old Gym Site, Sister Magda School, and the St. Martin Academy School Gym, Rupert Maynard Community Youth Center, and St. Martin Academy PSVE, Methodist Agogic Center, Brolia F, Millard Campus, and Sister Regina Schools, Helmick Snyders, Hillside Christian School, and Seventh-day Adventist School in Cole Bay, the MPC New Gym Site, and South Reward Sports Facility. These activities will support contractor mobilization, site preparation, and planning ahead of repair works. At some locations, activities may be staggered to help maintain access and reduce disruption to schools and facility users where possible. Planned repair works and their duration will vary by location, depending on site conditions and facility needs. Activities may include repairs to indoor gym floors and exterior playing surfaces, roofs, doors and windows, gym outfitting, and other structural and safety-related repairs. Some locations may also receive repainting, refreshed court markings, repairs to fencing, and other works.
Now for the weather forecast tonight through Wednesday midday. Fair to partly cloudy and breezy with isolated showers. Surface winds tonight through Wednesday midday. East-northeast to east-southeast with a gentle to moderate breeze at 8 to 15 mmprimo. State of the sea. Slight waves, swells 2 to 4 feet. Outlook through Thursday midday. Fair to partly cloudy. Isolated showers are likely. And now your 3-day forecast.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurance.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurance.
A fairy is creeping into at least one coastal community in Clarendon even before the first major storm forms of the 2026 hurricane season. We're talking about Portland Cottage, which is no stranger to the ravages of hurricanes. Here is Sandy Williams for that report.
The wind hasn't started blowing. The sea is still calm. But in Portland Cottage, Clarendon, fear is already building. A vulnerable fishing community sitting low along the coastline directly in the path of storm surge.
Right on us right now, and we are fretting about it because we really, you see, as the situation is, we live right in if the sea surge, if it comes. That is the main thing. We are not afraid of the rain. We are afraid of the sea surge because the water rises. You understand? And if the sea surge, right, I have to take care of myself.
Resident Anita Vincent says after Hurricane Ivan in 2004, some families were relocated, but not everyone benefited.
Some of the houses go in the wrong hands. If you notice, we at the front shouldn't be down here, should be up there. You understand? But through politics and this and that, they go in the wrong hand. And for us to move now, we don't know where to go.
And so many remained, rebuilding on the same fragile ground. Across the community, the scars are visible. Roofs still missing, walls cracked, homes half finished, and in some cases, only foundations remain. Hurricane Melissa left its mark, and for many, recovery never came.
Not quite recover. When you put on half of the house top, leave your half, you know, see it on the house, really shake up bad. The room I'm in here, shake up bad, crack up. And right now, until the season I come here fret.
Lenford White says each year brings the same dread.
And everyone come and flatten. Every time I come and leave out, I still, you know. And go pan, I go and Poland school, or my sister go and my sister go stay. So they pass through. Whole hurricane pass through this house. And the last one and the third one, they pass through it. I think you manage no more, don't it?
Despite the risks, many say they have no choice but to stay patching, piecing, and hoping.
If it's time, you hear that it's time to come pack up, run left your house, take your body and your papers, just go on. If all of it was concrete, it would have look much better. But at the same time, if you see, even if it's concrete and you see surge, you have to run. I'm not going to stand in a house with it and make you swim.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
This is our SXM Daily Newscast. Thank you for joining us.